So you may have thought that Jaren Jackson was going to take some huge jump in his second season, because that happens sometimes, and we praise the hell out of the dude in his rookie year for his defense and looking a lot better offensively than we might have thought with his, his shooting wasn't great, but his shooting has translated this season and got some post moves. He can finish at the rim. He's athletic and all that. Dribble game is better than nothing, but the defense was the main thing, right? Well, this season, Jaren Jackson has been very inconsistent. There have been stretches of blah defense, bad efficiency, hesitance on both sides of the floor, and there have been other times when he's looked like that super prospect that can play next to Ja Morant. And to me, it pretty much all comes down to fouls. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been fouling at a crazy rate. He has played 13 games, and in those 13 games, he has already fouled out 3 times. He's had another 2 games where he finished with 5 fouls, a few more with 4, and the least amount that he's had is like 2, which he's done like 2 times. I think the fouls are just in his head, because when he's not in foul trouble, he's great. He's aggressive, he's going for block shots, he's being physical on defense, he's going for every rebound. That's another thing, his rebounding has to get better. But he's just playing with the aggressiveness and the freeness that you need to be a really good NBA player, not in your own head constantly. But then the fouls start racking up, and they have racked up a lot, and it happened last year as well. And once that happens, he just gets in his own head, and now he's not as aggressive, and he's just hesitant in every area of the game. We've seen this with some dudes where they're really bad at free throws, where they're just thinking about it throughout the entire game, and it's like, well, I'm not going to attack the rim right now because then I got to go to the line, and then I got to get embarrassed because everybody knows I suck at these things, and there you go, right? Andres Biedron's, you could argue his career ended because of that, because he was so bad at free throws that he was petrified of getting fouled, and it just made his offensive game terrible. I don't think that's going to happen with Jaren Jackson, but he's got to figure it out nonetheless. It's also affecting his minutes, which is an obvious statement, but he's had a fair share of games where he's played under 20 minutes, or barely over. He's had an 18-point game, or minute game, 15 minutes. The last game he played was 18 minutes. He's had a few where he hasn't even reached 25 minutes. The Grizzlies are relying on this guy to be a star. And, luckily for them, Ja Morant is a star already. But this is a two-man show. This is not the Ja Morant with a bunch of guys show. This is Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson leading the Grizzlies for the next 15 seasons. So Jaren Jackson has to get this together. Now, I should say one of those 15-minute games, he only had 3 fouls, so I don't really think it was that, but there's definitely been others. Now, you could argue he's already making a little bit of progress. He did foul out. He's fouled out in 2 of the last 3 games, so maybe not at all. But he had a nice little stretch of 4 games in a row with 4 or under fouls, so there's that. And he played great in 2 of them. He had over 20 points, and he was really efficient and stuff. That's the thing, too. You could notice some improvements. His threes are going in. Last year we saw with Jackson that it was he's actually got some life from 3, but it's still a little awkward, but it's been better this year. His free throw percentage is up, too. He's only shooting 2 free throws a game because he's probably terrified of drawing contact, but he's still getting better, so that's nice. Now, because Basketball Reference is the best website in the world, you can do a play-by-play of everything in a game, so I looked at his 6 fouls against the Warriors real quick, and they were fouls. Granted, they're the type of things that happen every game that sometimes don't get called, but I think the most noticeable reaction from Jaren was after the first one, where I feel like he had this moment of oh crap, here we go again. And he was talking to the ref a bit when he got fouled out in the 4th quarter, and I feel like he was just having this moment of what the hell am I allowed to do right now? The other thing is, there's going to be a point where the reputation builds around the league that you can just fish for fouls by going at Jaren Jackson, and that could be rough as well. So I think it's just going to take an effort on everybody's part. Jaren to just get a little better at simply not hitting dudes when he's going for blocks and go straight up and whatever else. There was also a pretty bad offensive foul in that Warriors game, so just not going into the paint without a plan. And besides that, I think it's just on the coaches to just teach him how to not foul in the NBA, I guess. I mean, looking at his college stats, he had 112 personal fouls in 35 games, which comes out to about 3.2 fouls a game, and you get 5 in college. So, I don't know, consider that a red flag, if you will. This is really all it is. If he just figures this out, then he'll be great. But you can tell he's thinking about it, and you can tell it's just affecting his game. And I mean, this is like super tinfoil hat theory, and it's probably not going to happen. But this is the kind of weird thing that can kind of like ruin a dude's career, if I want to be super dramatic. I don't think it's going to get to that point, but you know, just got to figure it out.